Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's virtual public meeting for the Central Florida Expressway Authority's State Road 417 Corridor Widening Projects, Segment 5, Narcoossee Road to State Road 528. Before we begin, we wanted to cover a few housekeeping items. At the bottom of your screen are multiple application engagement tools that you can use. All the engagement tools are resizable and movable, so feel free to move them around to get the most out of your desktop space. You can expand your slide area or maximize it to full screen by clicking on the arrows in the top right corner. If you have any questions during the meeting, you can submit them through the Q&A engagement tool found in the tab at the bottom of your screen. We'll try to answer all questions during this meeting, but if a fuller answer is needed or we run out of time, we will answer via email within a week. Please know that we do capture all questions. For the best viewing experience, we recommend using a wired internet connection and closing any programs or browser sessions running in the background that could cause issues. This virtual public meeting is bandwidth intensive, so closing any unnecessary browser tabs will help conserve your bandwidth. This meeting is being streamed through your computer, so there's no dial-in number. For the best audio quality, please make sure your computer speakers or your headset are turned on and the volume is up so you can hear the presenters. Some networks cause slides to advance more slowly than others, so logging off your VPN is recommended. If your slides are behind, pushing the F5 key on your keyboard will refresh the page. You can find additional answers to some common technical issues located in the Help engagement tool at the bottom of your screen. An on-demand version of this virtual public meeting should be available by late afternoon, Monday, October 12th. It can be accessed using the same audience link that was emailed to you earlier for this live virtual meeting. So let's begin. I'm Kathy Putnam, Public Information Officer with CFX Projects. With me is Will Hawthorne, Director of Engineering for CFX. Hi, Will.
Hi there. Good evening, everyone.
And again, we welcome you to the Central Florida Expressway Authority's virtual pre-construction information meeting for the State Road 417 Corridor Widening Project, Segment 5 from Narcoossee Road to State Road 528. CFX is an independent agency of the state, governed by a board of 7 locally elected leaders and 3 governor appointees. State Road 417 is part of the 125-mile regional expressway system that is planned, designed, constructed, maintained, and operated by CFX. CFX operates ePass, the first electronic toll collection system in Florida, with nearly 600,000 ePass accounts. The CFX Limited Access Network, which serves 3 million residents and more than 75 million visitors, is fully funded by toll revenue. No tax dollars are used for CFX's $2.7 billion 5-year work plan. If you'd like to ask a question or make a comment at any time, just click on that Q&A button on the bottom bar of your screen. You'll be able to type in your question or comment. We are trying to answer each question today, but if your query is detailed or needs some research on our part, we may have to follow up with you in the next week. All questions are being captured, so you will receive an answer by email. Public comment is essential in this process. Please get your comments regarding the information in this virtual meeting into CFX by October 16th, 2020. This virtual meeting is being conducted without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. Persons wishing to express their concerns relative to Title VI compliance by the Central Florida Expressway Authority may do so by contacting Kevin Kamara, Public Information Officer, by mail at 4974 ORL Tower Road, Orlando, Florida 32807, or by phone at 407-383-5817, or by email at construction@cfxway.com. All inquiries or complaints will be handled according to CFX procedure and in a prompt and courteous manner. CFX is widening 22 miles of State Road 417 from International Drive to State Road 528 to improve traffic flow on one of our system's busiest expressways. Each day, up to 95,000 vehicles travel this stretch of State Road 417, and that number is expected to continue growing. This widening initiative is being broken into 5 segments to minimize impacts to motorists. During this meeting, we'll focus on the 5th segment to be constructed, from Narcoossee Road to State Road 528. This segment includes widening State Road 417 by adding a lane in each direction, expanding the expressway from 4 to 6 travel lanes in total. CFX is also adding wider median shoulders that can temporarily accommodate additional traffic during emergency response events, such as traffic accidents or hurricane evacuations. This segment includes 4 proposed sound walls. During design, a noise study following state and federal guidelines is conducted to determine noise impacts associated with the expressway widening. The study identifies noise-sensitive sites such as homes, schools, churches, and recreational areas along the project corridor. For these projects, sound walls have been considered for areas predicted to experience noise levels that reach or exceed 66 decibels, or experience an increase of 15 decibels over existing noise levels. Additionally, the sound wall must provide at least a 5 decibel reduction to be considered feasible. 66 decibels would be slightly louder than heavy traffic 300 feet away. 15 decibels compares to the noise you would hear at night in a rural area. Think crickets. There's also consideration involving the cost for benefited property. During the design process, property owners who are identified as benefiting from proposed sound walls are asked to vote on whether they want those sound walls. Ballots, like the one pictured here, have already been mailed to those people identified as benefited property owners for this project. We've posted the traffic noise analysis on the State Road 417 Corridors Widening Project's webpage. Please review it for details or contact us with questions. Now, let's review the proposed sound wall locations for this widening segment. This is a sound wall typical section. It shows the standard placement of the sound wall located of the expressway. Beyond the sound wall, you see the fence along the CFX right-of-way. Sometimes a sound wall is built close to the right-of-way line. Construction on the 5th segment from Narcoossee Road to State Road 528 is expected to begin in summer 2021 and is expected to be complete in winter 2023. In addition to the widening, there are 4 proposed sound walls along this stretch of the expressway, noted by the dotted orange lines along the expressway on the map. Next, we'll zoom in and focus on each location where the sound walls are proposed from Narcoossee Road to State Road 528. This aerial map shows the sound wall proposed at the Stratford Point community. This 22-foot tall wall runs along northbound State Road 417 and is located inside the right-of-way line, starting at Narcoossee Road. It's nearly 2,200 feet long, just under a half mile. On this aerial map, you see that sound wall near Stratford Point on the left. Across the expressway on the right side of the picture, you see the ramp from southbound State Road 417 to Narcoossee Road. The toll plaza on this ramp is being relocated approximately 500 feet up the ramp and will be redesigned into a new all-electronic tolling gantry. This aerial map shows the sound wall proposed at the Nona Terrace community. It is a 10-foot tall wall and runs along southbound State Road 417, located on the shoulder, starting just north of the OUC Railroad. It's nearly 1,600 feet long, just over 1/4 of a mile. This aerial map shows the sound walls proposed at the Oasis at Moss Park. The first is a 14-foot tall wall. It runs along northbound State Road 417 and would be located inside the right-of-way line, starting at Moss Park Road. It's nearly 800 feet long, just under 1/6 of a mile. The second sound wall, also at the Oasis at Moss Park, is a 22-foot tall wall. It slightly overlaps the first wall and runs along the northbound State Road 417 right-of-way line. It's nearly 920 feet long, just over 1/6 of a mile. This aerial map shows the sound wall proposed at the Villas at East Park. This is a 22-foot tall wall. It runs along southbound State Road 417 and would be located inside the right-of-way line, starting north of Moss Park Road. It's nearly 1,600 feet long, or just over 1/4 of a mile. We hope this information has been helpful. Don't forget to leave your comments regarding this segment of the State Road 417 corridor widening projects. These comments must be submitted by October 16, 2020, in order to be entered in the public record. Just click on that Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen during our meeting, or send your comments to construction@cfxway.com. Following this virtual public meeting, a copy of this presentation will be posted to the CFX website at cfx-sr417 corridorwideningprojects.com. Now we're going to take a few moments. We are going to show you a video of essentially a virtual drive-through of the completed project. And this will be a conceptual view of what the project will look like. After that, I'm going to give you a demonstration of a really neat tool we have called a virtual tour. And in essence, it lets you go into the space, the corridor, and at various predetermined points, look at what that roadway looks like today and what it will look like at the end of the project. So first, let's go ahead and this may take just a couple seconds to start rolling, but we'll look at the video of the tour. And we start at the southern end of this project near Narcoossee Road. You'll see Stratford Point with its proposed sound wall on your right. We're traveling northbound on State Road 417. Ahead of you, you'll see a structure that stretches across the road. That's the new electronic overhead sign gantry. Continuing north, the bridge that we're about to cross spans the OUC Railroad. And that's Nona Terrace coming up on your left. You'll see the proposed sound wall adjacent to the community. Approaching Moss Park Road now, you see the oasis at Moss Park on the right and its sound wall. Across State Road 417 is the Villas at East Park. Again, its proposed sound wall runs the length of the community. And right now, we're passing the exit to Dowden Road on our right. And approaching Dowden Road, there's another one of those overhead sign gantries. You're getting a good sense now of how the expressway is being widened to the middle or to the median. Note the lighting in the median. Also note the wider median shoulders that will allow traffic to keep moving, albeit slowly, during emergency events such as traffic accidents or hurricane evacuation. Coming up on our right is the exit to State Road 528 as we approach the interchange with the Beach Line Expressway. And coming up here, note how the median returns to a grassy area. This is where this project meets the earlier widening of State Road 417 from this point to Curry Ford Road. In fact, CFX just recently completed the 6-laning of State Road 417, the Greenway Expressway, from State Road 528 all the way past the Orange County Seminole line. This widening of State Road 417 from Narcoossee Road to State Road 528 is one of 5 segments that will 6-lane the Greenway from International Drive to State Road 528. So with the completion of those 5 projects, the whole CFX-owned portion of State Road 417 will be 6-lane. And that ends that video. We're now going to go to a screen share so I can, give me just a moment here. I'm going to share my screen. So you'll be able to see this virtual tour and we'll demonstrate. And by the way, this will be loaded onto the project page. This will be by Monday. So you'll be able to go in and really play around with this. And that's what it's for. It gives you the opportunity to go in and again, view what this project with the roadway looks like now, what it will look like after the project is complete. So as you can see here, we're at the southernmost portion of the project corridor at Narcoossee Road. We're looking kind of north at this point. Right here in front of us, if you can see my cursor, we're looking at the entrance ramp to northbound State Road 417 from Narcoossee Road. If you put your cursor on this picture and you hold your mouse button down and then move it around, you can look 360 degrees around. You can look up, you can look down, left, right. So that's pretty cool to give you a view of what that looks like. Let me show you another important component of this. At the bottom of your screen, you see a blue tab. You see the word existing here where my cursor is. This is the current view of the roadway. If you click on this little arrow, go over to design, click on that, and voila, there is conceptually what the completed roadway will look like. You can see the sound wall that runs in front of Stratford Point. At the bottom of the screen here, you see these various thumbnail pictures. Those are the predetermined locations that we thought might be most interest, especially to the people living along the corridor. So let's go through that. Let me show you the first one, and I'm going to go back to existing. This is from the Stratford Point community, right by the playground. This is the existing view. If we go to design and what it will look like after the project, here you can see the sound wall. And here back over to the right side of the screen is the community. Let's go down to, we've got the camera view that shows the easternmost part of the Stratford Point community. Let's go to that camera. Here we're looking west. Here we're looking east. And this is the view currently from this position at the eastern end of Stratford Point. If we go down here to this blue tab and we click on design, this is what it looks like with the addition of the proposed sound wall. We'll just go down to a couple other points to show you. This is the Oasis at Moss Park. This is the southernmost end. This is what it would look like after the completion of the project. And this is what the folks at the Oasis see now. And if we're looking this way, again, design. We're going to go to the northernmost part of the Oasis. And this is obviously after completion of the project. And you can see that the wall here comes around this retention pond. And Will and I are going to talk a little bit about that, the reasons for that. But we wanted you to see that. We'll skip over across the other side of the road to villas at East Park. And this is the southernmost portion of villas at East Park. We do have a northern glance at that as well, loaded onto this. This is what the folks there see currently, no wall. And then this is after the wall is added. And then finally, if we head down to Nona Terrace, this is with the addition of the wall. This is a storage business right there. We can look to the south and see how that wall runs all the way down. And we'll go down to the, here is the southern end of Nona Terrace. This is what it looks like today. This is what it will look like at the end of the project. So you can see that sound wall should provide some deadening of the noise. So I'm going to stop sharing now and we'll go back to the presentation. And again, that will be loaded onto your, that will be loaded onto the website. So please take advantage, go in, look around, ask questions. And if you have any questions before or during construction of this project, please don't hesitate to contact Public Information Officer Kevin Kamara by phone at 407-383-5817, and that is his cell phone, or by email at construction@cfxway.com. And if you have any questions before or for more information on these projects or any CFX projects, you can log on to CFX SR 417 Corridor Widening Projects.com. And I'm going to ask Will to turn on his mic as we are seeing some questions coming in. But Will, I want to talk to you a little bit about the reasoning behind this State Road 417 corridor. The growth along the expressway in this area has really been phenomenal, hasn't it?
Thanks, Kathy. Yeah, that's a good question. It has. The growth in Central Florida, especially in this area, has brought with it an incredible increase in traffic on 417. Any regular driver of this expressway knows exactly what I'm talking about. In fact, in the last 5 years prior to COVID, we've seen traffic more than double in those 5 years, which far outperforms projections. Even with the slowdown with people out on the road because of COVID-19, we know that traffic will continue to grow, primarily because people are continuing to move to our area, which some say is more than 1,500 a week. You know,
Will, speaking of all that growth, one of the questions that we had received, somebody was concerned about all the construction in the area and how the construction of this segment of State Road 417, and as we had discussed, there are going to be a total of 5 segments from International Drive to State Road 528. But this gentleman was concerned about how any activity on State Road 417 might affect the area, or what impacts these folks might see from construction. What are some of the activities that they can expect to see during the construction period?
Well, as for noise from construction, we do require that noise ordinances be adhered to. As for the, these projects are along 417 are considered major highway projects, which means there's going to be a lot going on through this corridor. You know, when you look at the magnitude of what has to occur to widen a road like this while keeping the travel lanes open, you have to expect to see a host of different construction activities. And, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that, the first and foremost, please be mindful of the construction personnel who are out there working in the field. I mean, their safety and the traveler's safety are paramount. As for the specific construction activities, you will see lane shifts or traffic shifts. These are necessary to allow for the construction of the new lanes, which will also allow the construction workers to get in there with their equipment to grade and install new drainage structures, perform the bridge widenings. We'll have new signage, new LED energy efficient lighting, and of course the construction of the sound walls. These activities do include pile driving and sheet pile installations to allow for the wall and bridge construction. And there will be a need for overnight work because if we shut down lanes during peak travel times, we would have major traffic delays. And that being said, we're customer first, and we strive to minimize the construction impacts to not only the nearby residents, but those traveling the roadway. But nighttime work is unfortunately necessary. And I would remind everyone that if they haven't signed up, to get with you, Kathy, or Kevin, because I think any major detour or side road detour, you folks are out there a week or two in advance to give people plenty of notice for those that are traveling the side roads and 417 and just the side roads.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. And actually, I've again put up Kevin's contact information, Kevin Kamara, the Public Information Officer, his phone number, and the email that anybody can write into with any questions. You mentioned stakeholders list. A few weeks before construction actually begins, our public information team goes out door to door, and we hit those neighborhoods, and especially the homes that are closest to the expressway, because obviously those are folks who might hear and see the construction activity, especially at night. We give you a fact sheet, we give you contact information, and it's this information that you see here. So you'll know what's coming. We would ask you, please email this construction@cfxway.com with your email and ask to be put on the project stakeholder list. That way, you will get advance notice of construction activities, including, for instance, if there needs to be an overnight close down of the Narcoossee road ramp. And usually that's one ramp at a time. And that does have to happen, as you might imagine, as they're paving, for instance, that particular ramp. So that can be very helpful, obviously, to get that advance notice. And we'll also thank you very much for the mention of being careful in the construction area for the sake of the construction workers. That's very important. Project safety is certainly critical. One of the questions was about the closure of ramps and that sort of thing. So that gets exactly to that point. Especially if you're traveling this area, say late at night, very early in the morning, before 6 o'clock in the morning, get on that stakeholder list so you're getting those construction updates. That's really helpful. Will, one of the other questions we had was about that southbound State Road 417 exit ramp to Narcoossee Road. We had mentioned that the toll plaza there is being moved about 500 feet up and being turned into an all-electronic tolling gantry. One of our questioners asked, is that ramp itself going to be enlarged to allow more stacking of cars? Can you tell us what's happening at that ramp?
I'm glad you brought that up because I did see a question come in about the coordination with the city. And so we'll start with the ramp itself. We are going to expand the ramp. It's going to be a 2-lane exit. And the major movement is southbound 417 to southbound Narcoossee. So we're going to convert we have 2 left turn lanes. That will be converted to 3 left turn lanes as part of our project. And it will coincide with the city's project and what they are doing. We've been working with them for several months now to make sure that all of these projects will fit nicely together when everyone's done. So you can expect to see a lot more room there for that movement. It should work very well, much better than what's out there today. So we're excited to get those improvements done.
I also wanted to ask you about the sound wall going behind the retention pond at the Oasis at Moss Park. There are a couple reasons why CFX might put a wall behind a retention pond. Can you speak to that?
Sure. Primarily, it's the biggest benefit for an adjacent receptor or residence is where the wall is closest to it. So we try to put them out by the right-of-way line, and where we have our main line going over a bridge, that's when we usually will move a wall up onto the shoulder so that we're still getting some noise abatement. The other reason is so that we can continue to maintain our ponds, and we try to leave an offset between our fences and the walls so that we don't have a quote no man's land, and we can get back there and mow it, and you should be able to see the same level of maintenance that's out there today.
And speaking of maintenance, speaking of ponds, some people ask, and it's quite often, we've got a question here about landscaping. What is the determination, or how is landscaping handled with CFX construction projects?
We found it best that we come in after construction projects are complete. So once we get done with this construction, we will have a follow-up landscape project all by itself by landscape architects to go in and do what you normally would see on the CFX system. So unfortunately, it does come after the construction project, but that's it's what we have found to work best for us.
Okay, very good. Well, we're at about the halfway point of our meeting, and I know, quite often we have people perhaps joining a little late, or perhaps people didn't quite get, didn't quite catch things as we went through the first time. So we're going to go back through and start a portion of the majority of the presentation over, and we'll go back, show that video again, and do the demonstration of the virtual tour for anybody who perhaps missed that. So I'm going to go back and go ahead and let folks know, anybody who may have come on late, that if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment, just click on the Q&A button on the bottom bar of your screen. You'll be able to type in your question or comment. And again, we are trying to answer all your questions today, but if your query is really detailed, or we need to do some research on our part, we may have to follow up with you in the next week. All questions are being captured, so you will receive an answer by email. And public comment is essential in this process. So please get your comments regarding the information in this virtual meeting into CFX by October 16th, 2020. This virtual meeting is being conducted without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. Persons wishing to express their concerns relative to Title VI compliance by the Central Florida Expressway Authority may do so by contacting Kevin Kamara, Public Information Officer, by mail at 4974 ORL Tower Road, Orlando, Florida 32807, or by phone at 407-383-5817, or by email at construction@cfxway.com. All inquiries or complaints will be handled according to CFX procedure and in a prompt and courteous manner. CFX is widening 22 miles of State Road 417 from International Drive to State Road 528 to improve traffic flow on one of our system's busiest expressways. Each day, up to 95,000 vehicles travel this stretch of State Road 417, and that number is expected to continue growing. This widening initiative is broken into 5 segments to minimize impacts to motorists. During this meeting, we'll focus on the 5th segment to be constructed, from Narcoossee Road to State Road 528. This segment includes widening State Road 417 by adding a lane in each direction, expanding the expressway from 4 to 6 travel lanes in total. CFX is also adding wider median shoulders that can temporarily accommodate additional traffic during emergency response events, such as traffic accidents or hurricane evacuations. This segment includes 4 proposed sound walls. During design, a noise study following state and federal guidelines is conducted to determine noise impacts associated with the expressway widening. The study identifies noise-sensitive sites such as homes, schools, churches, and recreational areas along the project corridor. For these projects, sound walls have been considered for areas predicted to experience noise levels that reach or exceed 66 decibels or experience an increase of 15 decibels over existing noise levels. Additionally, the sound wall must provide at least a 5 decibel reduction to be considered feasible. 66 decibels would be slightly louder than heavy traffic at 300 feet away. 15 decibels compares to the noise you would hear at night in a rural area. Think crickets. There's also consideration involving the cost for benefited property. During the design process, property owners who are identified as benefiting from proposed sound walls are asked to vote on whether they want those sound walls. Ballots, like the one pictured here, have already been mailed to those people identified as benefited property owners for this project. We have posted the traffic noise analysis on the State Road 417 Corridors Widening Project's webpage. Please review it for details or contact us with questions. Now, let's review the proposed sound wall locations for this widening segment. This is a sound wall typical section. It shows the standard placement of the sound wall located at the outside shoulder of the expressway. Beyond the sound wall, you see the fence along the CFX right-of-way. Sometimes a sound wall is built close to the right-of-way line. Construction on the 5th segment from Narcoossee Road to State Road 528 is expected to begin in summer 2021 and is expected to be complete in winter 2023. In addition to the widening, there are 4 proposed sound walls along this stretch of the expressway, noted by the dotted orange lines along the expressway on the map. Next, we'll zoom in and focus on each location where the sound walls are proposed from Narcoossee Road to State Road 528. This aerial map shows the sound wall proposed at the Stratford Point community. This 22-foot tall wall runs along northbound State Road 417 and is located inside the right-of-way line, starting at Narcoossee Road. It's nearly 2,200 feet long, just under half a mile. On this aerial map, you see that sound wall near Stratford Point on the left. Across the expressway on the right side of the picture, you see the ramp from southbound State Road 417 to Narcoossee Road. The toll plaza on this ramp is being relocated about 500 feet up the ramp and will be redesigned into a new all-electronic tolling gantry. This aerial map shows the sound wall proposed at the Yonah Terrace community. It is a 10-foot tall wall and runs along southbound State Road 417, located along the shoulder, starting just north of the OUC Railroad. It's nearly 1,600 feet long, just over 1/4 of a mile. This aerial map shows the sound walls proposed at the Oasis at Moss Park. The first is a 14-foot tall wall. It runs along northbound State Road 417 and would be located inside the right-of-way line, starting at Moss Park Road. It's nearly 800 feet long, just under 1/6 of a mile. The second sound wall, also at the Oasis at Moss Park, is a 22-foot tall wall. It slightly overlaps the first wall and runs along northbound State Road 417 right-of-way line. It's nearly 920 feet long, just over 1/6 of a mile. This aerial map shows the sound wall proposed at Villas at East Park. This is a 22-foot tall wall. It runs along southbound State Road 417 and would be located inside the right-of-way line, starting north of Moss Park Road. It's nearly 1,600 feet long, or just over 1/4 of a mile. And again, we hope that this information has been helpful. Don't forget to leave your comments regarding this segment of the State Road 417 corridor widening project. These comments must be submitted by October 16th, 2020, in order to be entered into the public record. Just click on the Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen during this meeting, or send your comments to construction@cfxway.com. Following this virtual public meeting, a copy of this presentation will be posted to the CFX website at cfx-417corridorwideningprojects.com. So again, we are going to show you the video of the fly-through, if you will, of this segment of 417, of the widening. And I just need to, you'll hold on with me for a moment. I've just got to get my screen situated. And we'll start this in just a moment. So this video is a fly-through of what the widening and the sound walls will look like. And then after that, I'll share my screen and give you the quick demonstration of this terrific tool that allows you to go in at predetermined points and see what the before and after will look like. So that's pretty neat. Let me go ahead and start this video. We'll get that underway. And there we are. So we start at the southern end of the project near Narcoossee Road. You'll see the Stratford Point community with its proposed sound wall on your right. And we are traveling northbound on State Road 417. Ahead of you, you see a structure that stretches over the roadway. That's a new electronic overhead sign gantry. Continuing north, the bridge that we're about to cross spans the OUC Railroad. And that's Nona Terrace coming up on the left. You see the wall along the shoulder, along that community. Approaching Moss Park Road now, that's the Oasis at Moss Park on the right. And you see the sound wall along that property. Across State Road 417 is the villas at East Park. And again, its proposed sound wall runs the entire length of that community. And just now we're passing the exit to Dowden Road on the right side of the screen. Another of those overhead sign gantries that you see. There is the entrance ramp from Dowden Road to northbound State Road 417. And you're getting a good sense now of how the expressway is being widened to the middle, not to the outside. This is being widened to the middle or to the median. Note how the lighting is in the median of the roadway. Also note the wider median shoulders that will allow traffic to keep moving, albeit slowly, during the emergency events like traffic accidents or hurricane evacuation. So when there's real congestion on the roadway. Now coming up on our right is the exit to State Road 528 as we approach the interchange with the Beachline Expressway. And coming up in the median, note how that median returns to a grassy area. This is where the project meets the earlier widening of State Road 417 from this point north to Curry Ford Road. In fact, the CFX just recently completed the 6th laning of State Road 417, also known as the Greenway Expressway, from State Road 528 all the way north to past the Orange Seminole County line. This current, the widening that we're about to undertake from Narcoossee Road to State Road 528 is one of 5 segments that will 6-lane the southern portion of the Greenway from International Drive to State Road 528. So that gives you a good sense of what that will look like when that's done. So now I'm going to go to screen share, and I am going to show you this virtual tour that allows you, and you'll see this on the website. We'll have this posted to the project website by Monday. And for anybody who wasn't here when we were showing this earlier, real quickly, at the bottom of your screen, you see multiple little thumbnail pictures. Those are predetermined locations along the corridor. If you click on one, and I'm clicking on this first one, you see that we are at the southern end of the project corridor. We're right at Narcoossee Road. If we look to our east or to our right, this is the entrance ramp from Narcoossee Road to northbound State Road 417. Now, currently, there is no wall here. This is what conceptually it will look like at the end of the project. If you look down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see this blue tab. It currently says design. If you go over to this little arrow, click on it, hit existing, and that's what this area looks like currently. If you go down, click on that arrow, hit design, this is what we believe it will look like at the end of the project. So with these little thumbnails down here, there are various views along the communities, from the communities. If we go to this first one, and I'm going to right now go back to existing, this is from the Stratford Point community, the far western end of the community. Here is the playground for the community. This is what it looks like now, right, with that entrance ramp. If we go down to that blue tab and we click on design, this is what it will look like at the end of the project. If we go, let's say, down to the far eastern end of Stratford Point, again, I'm going to go back to existing, down here at the bottom of the page so we can see what that will look like now. So there's State Road 417. You can see the rooftops right here of the homes. Those are the homes in the far east end of Stratford Point. And those residents can see back out to the roadway. If we go back down again, we click on that arrow and we go to design. This is what this will look like at the end of the project. And if you put your cursor on the screen and you click your mouse button or your right or your left pad on your mouse pad on your laptop, you hold that down and then you can just look all around 180 degrees. You can look up, you can look down. So it really gives you a good opportunity to view what that looks like. Let's go ahead and head over to the Oasis at Moss Park. I'm going to go back to existing. And this is the Oasis at Moss Park currently. This is the southern end of that community. And this is their view. You can see Moss Park Road right there to our left. If we go to the design view, the road essentially disappears from their view. And we will go down to the northern portion of the Oasis at Moss Park. You can see how the wall comes around the CFX-owned retention pond. And as Will Hawthorne explained earlier, two reasons for that. One is that from the noise analysis, the closer to the affected property that you can get the wall, the more effective the sound barrier is. The other reason is that this is the CFX-owned retention pond, and maintenance workers need to get in to maintain the pond, to maintain, the grassy areas around it, and access to those CFX retention ponds is from the roadway. So they need to be able to get in there. So that will give you a good sense, I think, of being able to go in, play with it, see what that looks like, and, come back to us after you do that and ask questions. After you see that, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Kevin Kamara, our Public Information Officer, at 407-383-5817. So I'm going to go back to Will Hawthorne. And Will, once again, I wanted to touch base with you about the need to widen State Road 417. As the design was occurring on this roadway, there was building going on, and it seems that there is building going on all over this area. Which I assume means more cars?
Yeah, this area has changed quite a bit since it was originally opened in 1993, 1994. The growth has been incredible along 417, and anyone who regularly drives this area knows exactly what I'm talking about. In fact, in the past 5 years prior to COVID, traffic on 417 has more than doubled, which is far above projections. Even with the slowdown of travelers out on the road because of COVID-19, we know that traffic will continue to grow because people are continuing to move to our area, which some say is in excess of 1,500 people a week.
That's just incredible. Just incredible. And as we've got more traffic on the roadway, it seems that we've got traffic at night, certainly not as heavy as during the day. We have had some questions about construction activity. And I know especially people perhaps heading to the airport for work, or if they need to fly out of town, early morning hours. What type of activity might people run into with part of the widening?
Well, this and all of the other projects we're getting underway on 417 are considered major highway projects, which means there's going to be a lot going on through this corridor. When you think about the magnitude of what has to occur when you widen a road like this while keeping the travel lanes open, you should expect to see a lot of different activities. I have worked in the field myself, and I got to say, first and foremost, please be mindful of the construction personnel who will be out in the field. Their safety and the traveler's safety are absolutely paramount to this whole process, so please keep that in mind. As for the construction activities themselves, the first thing you're going to notice are the lane or traffic shifts to allow for the construction of the new capacity, which will also allow for the grading, drainage structure installations, the bridge widenings, new signage, new LED efficient lighting, and of course the construction of the sound walls. These activities do require both pile driving and sheet pile installations to allow for wall and bridge construction. So there will be a need to work overnight because we can't shut down lanes during peak travel times without causing major traffic delays. All of that being said, we do strive to minimize construction impacts to nearby residents as well as the travelers and try to keep the nighttime work to an absolute minimum, but it is necessary. And I think you mentioned it earlier, Kathy, but if anyone has any question about upcoming detours, your team does an excellent job of getting out there a week, 2 weeks in advance to let folks know that, hey, there's going to be a detour on this local road or there's going to be a detour on 417. We try to give everyone plenty of notice, whether you're using 417 or not, because oftentimes those detours will use the local roads. So please reach out to Kathy or Kevin to get that information because they're involved in the construction meetings that occur every week.
Thanks, Will. And actually, one of our questions is from someone from the Orange County Sheriff's Office who is asking about detours, and especially for, law enforcement or emergency responders needing to know that information. We do, as you had mentioned, we get out to the neighborhoods, we send out information, fact sheets, construction alerts to a stakeholders list that we have, and the various contact people with those agencies around Central Florida are on the stakeholder list. But for anybody who travels through this area, who lives near the area, or you're just interested, please email us at construction@cfxway.com and ask specifically to be put on the stakeholder list to receive construction alerts. It's really easy. It's just a very short alert that's going to come to your email. We usually have detour maps associated, so you just click on a link and you'll be able to know, all right, the detour is expected between the hours of, for instance, 11 p.m. and 5 a.m., and here's the detour that I need to take. Also, 2 weeks ahead of ramp closure or road closure, we typically have signs that are along the roadway to alert the traveling public, so it doesn't occur, the night of. Will, just real quickly, we did have a question. What are the considerations that go into placing a wall at the shoulder versus the right-of-way?
Well, we get the most benefit when we place our walls out by the right-of-way. The closer they are to the noise receptor or the residences, the more noise abatement you experience. So we start there, and sometimes that's not always possible, and sometimes we have geometric constraints, or the roadway actually goes taller than what we can make those walls. So in those situations, we have to bring the wall up onto the shoulder. You typically see that going over bridges, and as you're approaching bridges, you'll see the sound walls up on the shoulder so that we can try to get as much noise abatement as we can out of those walls. The second one is, I think you talked about it a little earlier, is when you have ponds or CFX ponds, we do try to go around those so that we can continue to maintain them and keep them in a condition that they're meeting all the permit requirements for stormwater for the wetlands.
Will, thanks very much. We really appreciate your time tonight, and we thank everyone for joining us. Again, this is the Central Florida Expressway Authority. Good night. Thank you.